Hey everyone, it's Ansel again and we're back. Today we'll be taking a look at a stabilizer modding technique that promises to eliminate all rattle, all without using a single drop of lube. So today I'm going to be putting that mod to the test and seeing if it actually holds up to its claim. The mod in question, if you haven't already read the title of this video, is the Dry Hump mod. Yeah, that is the name of the mod. This is an unfortunately named stabilizer mod developed by Thokpop, a vendor in the mechanical keyboard space, so make sure to check them out if you haven't already. Now, there's already a tutorial on how to do this on YouTube by Thokpop themselves, as well as on their website, so if my tutorial here isn't clear enough for you to understand, I'll link those sites down below so that you can check them out in case you need that extra bit of help. So here are the required materials for the mod. The first thing we're going to need is PTFE or fiberglass tape, which they provide on their website. Next, we're going to need Teflon or plumber's tape, which is also provided by Thokpop, but you might have some laying around, or you could just go to your local Home Depot and get some yourself. Last, it's going to help a lot if you have some scissors and a pair of precision tweezers. This is going to really help a lot with cutting them up nicely and precisely, as well as making it easier to adhere the tape to the proper places. So for this mod, I'm going to break it up into 3 separate steps: Holee modding / EPSI modding, dry humping the wire, and dry humping the housings. Now technically the first step is dry humping the stem, but like, I don't know. Okay, so first, dry humping the stem or Holee modding / EPSI modding. It's exactly as it sounds. First, I'm gonna cut off about 1 inch of PTFE tape, and then I'll cut that portion roughly 2 millimeters wide. It just needs to be wide enough to cover the inside of the stem housing, and then we'll cut that strip into 2 separate pieces. First, we're gonna put the tape inside just like Holee mod, just stick it up in there and make sure it's nice and flat with no pieces sticking out, and make sure to cut off any excess that sticks out of the hole over here. And then we're gonna use the second piece of PTFE and wrap it around the bottom of the stem here like this. This part is basically just EPSI mod. Now we're moving on to step 2, dry humping the wire. This step is pretty simple. We're just going to take a bit of plumber's tape and we're going to wrap the wire just a bit past the joint. Now Thokpop recommends wrapping it around the wire 2 to 4 times, but this is probably going to vary depending on what kind of plumber's tape you have. I used what I had laying around to save some money, but because it seemed to be a bit thicker than Thokpop's tape, anytime I met that 2 to 4 wraparound requirement, it would be way too thick compared to the pictures that Thokpop provides. So make sure that you do this part accordingly. Even in the video where I show it to you, it's still too thick and I had to make it thinner later on. Finally, we're moving on to step 3, dry humping the housings. And according to Thokpop, this is a totally optional step and they themselves recommend lubing the housings like normal. However, if you want a truly lubeless experience, you can totally do this if you want. Basically, all you gotta do is use about 1 inch of PTFE tape and wrap it around the housing like so. Mine is a little bit different from the way that Thokpop does it, but I think it might be a little bit better and a little bit more secure. Regardless, it's nearly identical to the suggested method, so you can go either way if you want. And now that our stabilizers are successfully dry humped, let's show you the results. I'm going to be showing you how the stabs sound throughout different stages of the mod so that you can get a feel for which parts of the mod that you want to do yourself. Alright, so what do we think? Honestly, it doesn't sound too bad. I think there's like a tiny bit of rattle, but in normal use, I don't think you would notice it. But here's the thing, I'm not the biggest fan of all of the steps of this mod, and here's why. For the first step, I actually really like this method, purely just for Holee modding. And honestly, it almost seems like you can skip the EPSI modding portion. So the use of PTFE tape here is just absolutely superior to Holee mod, and you get both a rattle-free sound and a super clean sound and feel. One of the issues with Holee mod for me was the overly dampened sound. With PTFE tape, the sound is much cleaner and both the upstroke and downstroke are crisp and clean. I think this is the best part of the mod and will be the one that I use for personal builds from here on out. The only worry I have here is longevity, as I will be doing this with lube, and I'll show you the results in a bit. But I hope it can stand up to the test of time, as it just feels and sounds so good. Like you don't even know the PTFE tape is there, it's just doing all the work. Now for step 2, dry humping the wire. This to me was the most difficult aspect of the mod. Perhaps I made a mistake by using the tape that was available to me, as I assumed it would be just as serviceable, but maybe I should have used the tape that they were offering. Now just like I said before, the guide says to wrap it 3 to 4 times, but for whatever reason, I always got way more than that, and it always ended up being way too thick. So I would do my best to wrap it until it matched the thickness of the tape in the pictures provided. But the thing is, my hands are super uncoordinated, and not only did I have a hard time cutting the actual tape, but I just couldn't manage to wrap it around the bar so cleanly. Maybe this is just on me, but really it was difficult to do overall. And I don't know, I won't be too harsh on this portion because it could just be 100% my fault for not choosing their tape and because I'm clumsy as hell. But for me, in the future, I'm personally not going to do this step, and I'm just going to lube the wires like normal. Finally, what do I think of dry humping the housings? Honestly, this is the part of the mod that I'd absolutely recommend not doing. While the stabs actually feel pretty smooth, they also become incredibly sluggish. It also introduces a lot of unwanted sound. So while it doesn't feel too scratchy, it sounds very scratchy and unpleasant. They feel sluggish, and it just feels like there's a lot of friction / parts rubbing on each other. Even though that feeling isn't exactly scratchy, I don't like it. Not at all. Now again, I don't want to be too harsh because I could just be doing it wrong, but I feel like I nailed this part, so I'll leave it up in the air. So my overall thoughts are, I'm not a fan of the mod overall, although that could be my fault, but the use of PTFE tape alone is honestly brilliant. Now I've seen it suggested in threads before instead of using band-aids like the Holee mod suggests, but honestly, this is awesome, and I think if any of you are going to be doing Holee mod from now on, you should definitely be using PTFE tape. It's just that much better than using a band-aid. Now, like I said earlier, I like this purely for Holee modding, so I'm gonna lube the same exact stabilizers, but we will only be Holee and FC modding the stems, and we're just gonna be lubing the rest like normal. So here's how that sounds. And yeah, that sounds fantastic, and it's ridiculously easy. I know some people think Holee mod is difficult, but once you've done it enough times, it's super fast. And adding the lube, just the cherry on top. It's stupid clean, and I highly recommend this mod for anyone looking to do it. I just want to say again, I can't speak for longevity. There is a small possibility that the tape will lose adhesion over time, especially once you start to add lube into the mix. So I'm not going to 100% endorse it, but I will say, I still like this mod either way. Pop deserves a huge round of applause for attempting to innovate the stabilizer space. Even though the mod isn't exactly perfect, it definitely has its upsides, and honestly, there can never be too many good stabilizer mods. So thank you Pop for teaching me how to dry hump my stabilizers. But yeah, that's all I got for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you next time, and I hope you have a great day. Peace.